What happens when you discover on live television that your 17-year marriage was never legally valid? Wait. Stop the tape. Stop. Dr. Phil's hand shot up, freezing the entire studio mid-sentence. The couple on stage looked confused. The audience held their breath. What had just been said couldn't be unsaid. And what Dr. Phil was about to do next would change everything. Nobody in that studio, not the producers, not the crew, not even the couple themselves, was prepared for what came next. 30 minutes earlier, Tom and Rebecca Martinez had walked onto the Dr. Phil stage with what they thought was a simple marital problem. They'd been together for 17 years, had 2 teenage children, owned a home in suburban Atlanta, and were struggling with communication issues. A classic case for daytime television. Rebecca wore a nervous smile as she settled into the curved beige chair. Tom sat beside her, fidgeting with his wedding ring, the same ring he'd worn for nearly 2 decades. They looked like any other couple seeking help, tired, frustrated, but hopeful. Dr. Phil began with his standard opener. "So tell me, what brings you here today?" Rebecca started first. "We love each other, Dr. Phil, but we just can't seem to get on the same page about anything anymore. We argue constantly." Tom nodded in agreement. "It's like we're roommates instead of partners. I want to fix this before it's too late." But Dr. Phil had noticed something in their intake forms that didn't add up. And he was about to ask the question that would stop the show cold. The conversation flowed normally for the first 20 minutes. Dr. Phil walked them through their relationship history, how they met at a college party in 2008, moved in together after 6 months, had their first child 2 years later. "And when did you get married?" Dr. Phil asked, flipping through his notes. "Oh, we had a beautiful ceremony in 2009, Rebecca said, her face lighting up. "It was in my parents' backyard. About 50 people came." "Who officiated?" Dr. Phil's tone had shifted slightly, enough that the producers in the control room sat up straighter. Tom scratched his head. "It was Rebecca's uncle. He's a pastor, so we thought." "Hold on." Dr. Phil set down his cards and leaned forward. "Did your uncle file the marriage license with the county?" The couple exchanged a glance. Rebecca's smile faltered. I thought he did. He said he would handle all the paperwork." "Did you ever receive a marriage certificate in the mail?" Dr. Phil's voice was calm, but the studio had gone completely silent. Tom's face went pale. We never got one. But we just assumed it was somewhere in our files. We never really looked for it." Dr. Phil paused mid-sentence. The studio went completely silent. "Stop the tape." Dr. Phil stood up, his hand raised. The cameras kept rolling, but the director froze. "I need to speak with my producers. Right now." The audience gasped. In 21 seasons of the show, Dr. Phil had never stopped mid-taping like this. Rebecca's hands started shaking. Tom looked like he might be sick. Dr. Phil walked off stage to the production area, his voice low but urgent. "Get me their county records. Pull everything, marriage licenses, property deeds, tax returns. I need to know the legal status of this relationship before we continue." Off camera, Dr. Phil made a choice no producer expected. For 8 minutes the studio sat in suspended animation. The couple remained on stage, neither speaking. The audience whispered nervously. Cameras stayed trained on the scene, capturing every uncomfortable second. When Dr. Phil returned, he was carrying a manila envelope. His expression had completely changed. Gone was the clinical detachment, replaced by something deeper. Concern. Maybe even sadness. He sat down slowly, the envelope in his lap. "Tom. Rebecca. I need you to listen to me very carefully right now." Rebecca's voice cracked. "What's wrong?" "I had my team pull your county records." Dr. Phil opened the envelope and removed several documents. "According to the state of Georgia, there is no record of a marriage license ever being filed for Tom and Rebecca Martinez in 2009. Or any year since." The words hung in the air like a bomb that hadn't yet detonated. Tom's voice was barely a whisper. "What does that mean?" Subscribe and leave a comment. because the most powerful part of this story is still ahead. Dr. Phil took a breath. It means that legally, in the eyes of the state, you two have never been married. Your ceremony was symbolic, but without the legal paperwork, it has no legal standing. Rebecca's hands flew to her mouth. Tears streamed down her face instantly. But we have 2 kids. We own a house together. We filed taxes jointly. That's what I need to talk to you about. Dr. Phil's tone was gentle but firm. Your mortgage is only in Tom's name. Your tax returns have been filed incorrectly for 17 years. And legally, Rebecca, you have no automatic rights to Tom's assets, his insurance, his retirement accounts, nothing. The studio audience was on its feet, some crying, others simply frozen in shock. Tom looked like he'd been punched in the stomach. How is this possible? How did we not know? Because you trusted that the paperwork was done, Dr. Phil said. And because for 17 years you lived as though you were married. You built a life, raised children, created a home. In your hearts you are married. But the state of Georgia doesn't recognize it. But what happened next is something no one in the room, or watching at home, saw coming. Rebecca was sobbing now. Does this mean, are we not even a real family? Dr. Phil stood up and moved his chair directly in front of them, breaking the traditional stage setup entirely. He reached out and took both of their hands. Listen to me. Both of you. His voice had dropped to almost a whisper, but every microphone in the studio picked it up. You are absolutely a real family. What you have is real. Your love is real. Your children are real. Your commitment to each other is real. He paused, looking directly into Rebecca's tear-stained eyes. But right now, we have a legal problem that needs to be fixed. Not just for you, but for your children. Tom found his voice. What do we do? Dr. Phil turned to the audience. Can we have absolute silence for a moment, please? The audience complied instantly. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a business card. This is the name of the best family law attorney in Atlanta. I'm going to have my team call him right now, while we're sitting here. You're going to get an emergency appointment this week. Rebecca was shaking. We can't afford. It's handled. Dr. Phil cut her off. This show is covering every penny of the legal fees. You're going to get legally married, retroactively if possible under Georgia's common law provisions. You're going to protect your children's inheritance rights. And you're going to fix every single document that's been filed incorrectly. The audience erupted in applause, but Dr. Phil raised his hand for silence again. But there's something else we need to address. He looked at Tom. Tom, do you understand that for 17 years, Rebecca has been legally vulnerable? If something had happened to you, if you'd been in an accident, if you'd become incapacitated, she would have had no legal standing to make medical decisions. She wouldn't have automatically inherited anything. She could have been left with nothing. Tom's face crumpled. Oh my God! Rebecca, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Neither of us did, Rebecca whispered. Dr. Phil reached into the envelope and pulled out something that made the entire studio gasp. It was a photograph. Their wedding photo from 2009. Someone from the production team had pulled it from their intake materials. Look at this. Dr. Phil held it up. This is you, 17 years ago. You were so young. So full of hope. You believed you were starting your legal marriage that day. He set the photo on the table between them. That belief doesn't make you naive. It makes you human. You trusted someone to handle the paperwork. That person failed you. But you didn't fail each other. Rebecca reached for the photo with trembling hands. We look so happy. You were happy. And you can be happy again. Dr. Phil leaned back. But happiness isn't enough when you have children to protect. Security isn't just emotional, it's legal. And right now, we're going to make sure you have both. He turned to the producers off stage. Bring me the contact information for the attorney. And get me the Georgia family law provisions on common law marriage recognition. I want everything ready before they leave this studio. The audience rose to their feet in a standing ovation that lasted 3 full minutes. Dr. Phil let them cry. He didn't rush them, didn't push them to wrap it up. For television. For nearly 10 minutes, the show became something else entirely, not entertainment, but genuine human crisis being addressed in real time. When Rebecca finally composed herself enough to speak, she looked at Dr. Phil with something close to disbelief. "Why are you doing all this for us?" Dr. Phil's response was immediate. "Because 17 years ago, someone should have protected you. Someone should have made sure that paperwork was filed. They didn't. So I'm protecting you now." He stood up and addressed the audience directly, breaking the fourth wall completely. How many of you have ever just assumed that something legal was handled correctly? Maybe a will. Maybe a deed. Maybe a marriage license. Dozens of hands went up across the audience. This is your reminder to check. Don't assume. Verify. Because the people you love deserve that protection. Share and subscribe. Make sure this story is never forgotten. The show went to commercial break, but the cameras kept rolling for the production team. During those 4 minutes, Dr. Phil sat with Tom and Rebecca and walked them through every single step of what would happen next. Monday morning, you're meeting with the attorney. He's going to file for legal recognition of your marriage under Georgia's common law statutes. You've lived together for 17 years, you've held yourselves out as married, you have joint finances and children. Georgia recognizes that. Tom was taking notes on his phone, his hands still shaking. And the house? The mortgage? We're adding Rebecca's name to the deed. We're updating your beneficiaries on all accounts. We're refiling your taxes if necessary, though honestly, the IRS probably isn't going to care because you filed jointly in good faith. Rebecca asked the question that mattered most. And our kids? Are they legally okay? Your children are 100% legally recognized as both of yours, Dr. Phil assured her. That's never been in question. But we need to make sure their future is protected. That means updated wills, healthcare proxies, guardianship documents, the whole thing. He pulled out another card. This is my estate planning attorney. She's expecting your call. When the show came back from commercial, something remarkable happened. Dr. Phil didn't return to his usual chair. He stayed seated directly across from Tom and Rebecca, maintaining that intimate circle. I want to say something to both of you before we end today. His voice was quieter than it had been all show. What you're feeling right now, shock, fear, anger, maybe even shame, those feelings are valid. But they're not the end of your story. Tom nodded, unable to speak. You came here today thinking you had a communication problem. What you actually have is a legal problem with an emotional impact. And the good news is, legal problems have legal solutions. Rebecca wiped her eyes. Will we really be okay? You're going to be more than okay. Dr. Phil smiled, genuinely, not his TV smile. Because now you're going to have something you didn't have before, legal protection. Security. Peace of mind. He reached across and squeezed both of their hands one more time. And in 6 months, I want you back here. Legally married. Fully protected. Ready to work on that communication. The audience laughed through their tears, applauding again. As the show wrapped, Dr. Phil did something he'd never done before. He walked Tom and Rebecca off stage himself, his arm around Rebecca's shoulders. The cameras followed them to the wings, where the estate attorney and family law attorney were already waiting with folders of documents. These are your people now, Dr. Phil told them. They're going to fix this. And you're going to let them. Rebecca broke down again, but this time it was different. Relief, not panic. Thank you. Thank you so much. Dr. Phil's response was simple. Go protect your family. 6 months later, the follow-up episode aired. Tom and Rebecca returned to the Dr. Phil stage, but this time they were different. Confident. Secure. Rebecca held up a piece of paper, their official Georgia marriage certificate, dated retroactively to recognize their 17-year common-law marriage. Everything's done, Tom said, grinning. Every document updated. Every account corrected. Our kids' future's protected. Dr. Phil beamed. And how's the communication? Rebecca laughed. So much better when you're not worried about losing everything. The audience gave them another standing ovation. But the real impact of that first episode went far beyond one couple. In the weeks following the broadcast, the show received over 47,000 emails and messages from viewers who had checked their own legal documents and discovered problems. Missing marriage licenses. Incorrectly filed deeds. Missing beneficiaries. Outdated wills. Dr. Phil's team compiled the most common issues into a legal checklist that was posted on the show's website. Within 3 months, it had been downloaded 2.3 million times. The lesson that day wasn't just for Tom and Rebecca. It was for everyone watching. Love is real. Commitment is real. Family is real. But without the legal framework to protect those things, they remain vulnerable. Dr. Phil had taught millions of viewers that day that protecting the people you love means more than just showing up emotionally. It means showing up legally, too. And sometimes, it takes having your world frozen on national television to realize what really matters. Not the ceremony, not the tradition, not even the romance, but the security that comes from knowing that the people you love are legally protected, no matter what happens. That manila envelope, that business card, that photograph, they became symbols of something bigger. A reminder that real love isn't just felt. It's documented, protected, and secured for the future. Tom and Rebecca learned that lesson the hard way. But because Dr. Phil stopped the tape that day, millions of others learned it without having to.